What it is, what it do, what's poppin', peoples. It's the Royal Topic, and we back at it with another episode of Adulture, the art of growing up. And today's episode, it starts at home. So I got some more clips I was going over that I like to share with the class. You know, get your opinions, and let's start a conversation going regarding these real serious conversations that are damaging and destroying our community. So, with that being said, let's tap into the first one. This is Mr. Denzel Washington. Don't blame the system. It starts at home, and I'm a believer in it starts at home.
From Mount Vernon saying that, like they've done like 40 years in a penitentiary together. So, and incarceration rates in America has been a problem, especially as opposed to minorities. And Roman delves into the issues around the legal system. Do you think we've made any headway in the
I
legal
think it's more important to make headway in our own house. By the time the system comes into play, the damage is done. They're not locking up 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago a couple of 3-4 weeks ago.
I agree, real shit, that it does start at home. I'm a believer in that. That's one thing I tell my kids a lot of time when we having conversations and they bring up topics like, why are people so angry? Why are kids so judgmental? Why are people so vicious and vile? A lot of the times I explain to them that it starts at home. It starts in the environment that they're being raised in, and nobody's teaching them. Their parents are not teaching them, their mother, their dad, nobody in their household that is supposed to be the one raising them is teaching them any balance, any proper training, any respect, any good human behavior in their household. And they're learning from the TV and the internet and the radio, and that's why they come out acting reckless. A lot of it they're learning from what's going on in their own environment. Let's be honest.
A couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we saw these little kids on bikes with masks on the side of their head, like 5 or 6 of them. And the driver said, "Yeah, they're little yummies." I said, "Who?" He said, "Little yummies. Look up, Google Little Yummy." Little Yummy was an 11-year-old murderer.
Wow.
And you look at his picture, you'll see the headshot of him, and he's like this. And he got murdered at 11 by a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Who's doing life now, and a 16-year-old.
And it's a shame. It's a real shame, man, that we have kids at that age who have no respect for life. They don't love themselves enough to realize taking a life is not a promising thing. It's not a good thing. It's an evil, devilish act. I'm going to go back to when I was a teen, running the streets, running with the knuckleheads in my neighborhood. And I used to live down the street from some projects. I'm not going to go into the name, but I had a homeboy who used to hang out there, so he knew a lot of the cats out there, and that's how I got cool with niggas from out in them projects. Well, I remember back at this time, I'm like 17, 18 years old, and, you got your OGs, your juniors, and what Denzel is calling yummies, we used to call peewees, the babies. So you had a gang and they were representing a sport team, whatever sport team that was. You had the OGs, and then you had the juniors, and then you had the peewees. The juniors was 14 to 18, and the peewees was fucking 10 to 13 years old. Crazy. And a lot of these OGs used to, pump these 14-year-old, the juniors too. They used to pump up the juniors too, but the peewees, they used to pump them up. And it was easy because they had no father influence in the home. Mom was on crack or abusing drug or running the whole house, whatever the case may be. She nor the father was focused on that child. And what the OGs would do is, because they were getting the block hot and the cops were familiar with their grills, they would now have the peewees hold the pistols in the 8 balls, the balls, you know what I mean? And that was like a round ball of crack where cats would cut them up and make like a couple of $100 off of them. So cops would roll up on them. We used to call them Dickie Mo's 5-0 back in the days. And they used to run up on cats and search the OGs. And, the OGs would get away safely because the little kids Cops didn't have no idea that they were doing some shady shit with the little kids. They didn't have no idea that the kids were toting the guns and holding the cracks in their pockets. You know what I mean? So a lot of these kids were starting to get cocky and big-headed because they had the backs of these OGs, not realizing that these OGs were using them. So when push come to shove and they get into the shits with some other cats, some real niggas that's older than them, and the OGs ain't around, and it's time to get robbed or whatever the case may be, them OGs wasn't defending them kids, you know? And it was fucked up is that these niggas was bragging about it, yeah? You know? And it was sad to see these little kids running around here destroying themselves before they wasn't even teenagers. They were fucking 10 years old, 11 years old, acting ghetto as fuck. No guidance, no discipline. And some of them end up getting locked up at an early age. Some of them end up dying and just hanging out there in the midst of gunfire and get caught in the crossfire. You catch me? So it's a sad thing that we got youth still to this day, these little kids out here thinking it's cool to be gangsters. Anybody, you know, I don't promote gangsterism. I think it's childish. It's a wound in us, a trauma in us that we're going through because of the lack of love we're getting at home and the lack of father figures in our homes. And we go out to this world with so much anger that we take it out on the world, and we're not realizing that that's not the way to go out. You catch me? We got so far to live. One thing we got to think about is this really worth my life? Because when you run in with that street shit, your life could be taken any day, any minute. You catch me? I lost a lot of homies just by fucking parties, going home on a late night, set up by a chick, going to the movies, coming out of a store, you know, you name it. You know, niggas was dropping like flies, and to know some of these cats were little kids, it was very disturbing to me.
That makes no sense.
You blame the system? Where was his father?
Real shit.
It starts in the house. It starts in the home.
Real shit.
And yeah, well, my father got locked up. Well, where was his father?
Yeah.
You know, like I did talk about my three closest friends, and they did, you know, 15 to 20.
And that's why I fuck with Denzel, man. Denzel keep it a thou wow. He's one of the entertainers, the actors that I give a lot of respect to, because you don't hear no fuck shit about Denzel. And when he comes out and he's spitting some real shit, some shit to make you think, some grown man shit. You know what I mean? I always give him credit, respect to Denzel Washington. Big up, big up. Let's go into the next video. This is why fathers are important. This is the title. Let's tap into it.
All the cool niggas is broke. All the cool niggas I grew up with ain't got shit. You know who got it? The nerds.
Hey, he's keeping it thou wow. That's some real shit. He's talking to his son, and that's the real shit. I could relate to that. Just growing up, you know, hanging with the cool kids, hanging with the niggas that I thought were the gangsters and the ones who's gonna be famous and successful. You know, now that I'm in my adulthood, I realize a lot of them niggas is nowhere. A lot of them niggas ain't got half of what I got. A lot of them niggas is either in jail doing a healthy prison time, dead, you know what I mean, a junkie, turned out on some type of drugs or alcohol, and their life's all fucked up, all because back then they were trying to be, you know, live this cool life, live this gangster life, live this street life, and then they would tease the cats that was educated, the cats that was, you know, with glasses, head in the book. They would tease them cats. And today, most of all those cats that I do know of that were into their books back then and didn't let no one deter, you know, fuck up their they didn't let nobody fuck up the path they were taking. They're the ones making all the money now. They're the ones that the girls think that. Yo, have you ever noticed that when you got money to females, you are handsome as fuck? And you could be as handsome as fuck, but don't have money, and the bitch would just ignore you, act like you don't even exist. We got to pay attention to the clowns we're following, the fools we're following that have no guidance themselves, and they're guiding us into a road of destruction. When you got these smart cats out here that's living longer life, happier life, wealthier life, you know, and they're alive to brag about it. They're alive to to show off what they've earned because their heads were in the book. Things we gotta really pay attention to, man. Street life is not what motherfuckers make it cracked up to be. And I'm just talking from a nigga that ran the streets. Catch me?
Nerds got all the money, they got the property, and they got the women. So while you think that shit is cute, you're gonna be a cute broke nigga. And it's not gangster. You think that shit gangster? If you gonna bang, you bang on that motherfucking football field. If you gonna bang, you bang in that classroom.
And the only thing I'm gonna say with this, that kid that he's talking to, if that's his real son, the kid looked like he's already like 15, 16 years old. My dude, real shit. And I salute this man if it's some real shit going on here. But if you're talking to your child at that age, yo, you pretty much, I'm not saying give up on your child, but you pretty much lost your kid. Like I'm a firm believer in you need to start as soon as the child come out of the womb. Catch me? Like you need to be setting discipline, structure, love, teaching them how to have confidence, motivation, giving them knowledge and wisdom. I believe you need to be doing that from once they come out of the womb. Catch me? Because what I experience real shit is that by the time, if you ignoring your child from once they're born and now they're 13, 14 years old and then they start acting up and then you want to start discipline, the kid ain't really trying to hear what you're trying to say to them. Real shit. And most of the time, we got adults yelling at them and ain't nobody listening to somebody yelling at them. I don't give a fuck who it is. They may be sitting there listening because they're scared, but they're not registering what you're trying to, pass through their head. So I honestly believe at 15, homeboy, you're kind of a little late to be educating the child about staying out of the streets, and then that gangster shit, man. I just love how niggas take this gangster shit and don't understand the real meaning of gangsters. You catch me? Like, let's be honest, man. When niggas got gangsters from these gangster movies, these mafia movies, and if you pay attention, the real gangsters out there, them niggas were taking care of their family. They were business savvy. They understand how to conduct and have business. They know how to bring money in. They knew how to galvanize people to work for them. Catch me? So they had a smartness to them. They wasn't reckless niggas that was just out there shooting and killing. They wasn't just reckless motherfuckers that was out there just robbing and killing. They had plans. They had ideas, and they put them into action and was successful. And now it just sucks the way they would how they were doing it was criminal. But if you take away all the crime and all the negative bullshit out of it, them gangsters was really smart. You catch me? They was taking care of their kids, yeah? They was taking care of their family. And now I'm not glorifying gangsters. Don't get it fucked up. What I am pointing out is that we got to understand the definition of what we're claiming, and then really sit down and see if we really want to claim this life, I think it's sad and it's unfortunate that we got a lot of kids out here that have no father figures in their life, and this is what this platform is for. And that's why I'm always promoting we got to do better. We need to promote present fathers and not promote fatherless fathers, like real shit. Because our kids need us, man. We're in a how can I say this? We're literally destroying our society. We're destroying our communities. We're destroying our homes, our community, and our society because us as men are deciding to walk away from our responsibilities. And I don't give a fuck what. I don't care what how a chick is. You pick that chick. You should never let a female deter you from being in your child's life. I think that's, cowardly. And I'm just being a thou wow about it. That's some coward shit. I don't give a fuck what the situation is. It's never the child's fault that they're in this world. So you should never abandon something that you helped bring into this world. Let's go ahead and jump right into the next video.
Man just destroyed the entire school board with facts.
I have an 8-year-old daughter who is absolutely dynamic, who can do anything. Athletically, intellectually, spiritually, and emotionally, she is a dynamo. And I don't want a man swimming against her in the pool. The fact is, I don't want her playing against boys in soccer. I don't even let my sons rough her up. Do you think I'm going to let your son rough her up?
For
This
real.
is what we're talking about. Policy going back to the parents. Because if you think people who love America are willing to fight for it, you haven't met parents yet.
See, this is the main reason why we need fathers back in our lives, because I'm not trying to down the females, but females are not doing this. Females are not having these conversations, going to these town meetings. They're not heavily getting involved to make sure their kids are safe. And I'm not saying females don't give a fuck, but what I am saying is that I see what's going on out here in this world. I'm peeping game, and I'm noticing that there's a lot of females, and I'm not saying all. I don't want y'all getting it twirled up like a Twizzler and coming down on me in the comments. But what I'm getting at, there's a lot of females out here who's taking sex over their own child, who's taking weave and butt implants over their child, getting there. You know what I'm saying? We're taking a lot of material things over being in our child's lives. And I'm not knocking, and I'm not saying that the fathers don't have a role. And like I said, this is the reason why this platform's here. But we got to start with picking better men. You know, just like us, we don't know the future, but at least we can see the pop-up signs and not fall for the pop-up signs. You catch me? Like I know a lot of chicks that at one time in my neighborhood, it was all about the gangster life. If you was a gangster, they were attracted to you. If you was selling drugs and making all types of money, flashing jewelry and shit like that, dressing fly, they were attracted to you. You catch me? And a lot of them niggas were wasted, damaged ass niggas. And that's just being a thou. Like a lot of the niggas were damaged. They had no structure, no discipline, and their only motivation was to go out there and sell drugs. Anybody could sell drugs. All right, let me phrase that. I'm not going to say anybody can sell drugs, but it's real easy to go out there and sell drugs. It's hard when you sit back and realize you're fucking up your community by selling these drugs. And I can't blame the females because, again, it always starts at home. It always starts with the parents and who raised them. Catch me? So, you know, the title of this video is It Starts at Home. And I'm a firm believer that we need to get off our ass and start making excuses why we should not be in our child's lives, spending time with our children, giving them that devoted time, communicating with them, showing them that we love them, teaching them discipline, structure, motivating them, making sure they got confidence. You know what I mean? We got to start doing better in our homes, and it starts with us men. Us men need to be accountable and say, you know what? Fuck dumb shit, regardless of what me and the old girl's going through. I got a child that I got to raise with her. So let's get on the same team so we can make this happen. Fuck is we talking about?
Carry on. What, Mom?
What did you say to your mom? When you talk to me, what do you say?
Yes, sir.
And what else?
No, sir.
So when you talk to your mom, what do you say?
Yes, ma'am.
And what?
No, ma'am.
Good job. I don't want to hear you say it again.
Got that, baby? Yes, ma'am. High five.
This
You
man
know
just
what I'm talking about?
destroyed the.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like real shit. I know females are gonna get mad at me, and I'm not a female bashing. Don't get it fucked up. But I've seen a lot of females where they want to discipline the child and put their foot down, and then within 5 minutes, it's, oh, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. Come over here. Or they just forget about the whole thing and carry on. You know what I mean? Or they let the kids just run wild, be rude, and talk to them any fucking way. Where when you have a man, this is exactly why we need men in the house, because men, we make sure we lay down the law. We make sure there's a structure and foundation in the, and I'm not saying all men, I'm talking about real men. When I say men, I'm not talking about just any old man. I'm talking about real fucking men. You know, we set discipline, we set structure, you know, we build up confidence in our kids, and we make sure that they're not only not disrespecting us, but that you're not going to disrespect your mom either. You know, don't matter what me and my children's mom went through, they can't disrespect their mother in front of me. Or even if I'm not there, if their moms hit me up talking about, yo, your son is acting up and yo, put his ass on the phone. All right, I'll be there in a minute. You catch me? And right away, even though we're not together, nah, that's not what you're gonna do, because that's your mom. And you need to respect the fact that she brought you into this world, kid. And what you're not gonna do while I'm alive is disrespect your mom. And females don't put their foot down and make sure these kids understand that. And I'm not knocking them for doing that, but what I am saying is that this is why us men need to make sure we're in our children's lives. We're making sure that we're having these real-to-real conversations with our children, and we're there every day to show our presence, to let them know that we love them and we're here for them. Catch me? All right, so let's get into this next video here. This is a real serious conversation. Let's go ahead and just tap right into it.
How did how did your perception of what you think your parents felt about you shape your entry into manhood? And I got this from your conversation about you and your father. And I don't know if you want to expound on that first, but I thought it was a very heavy thing that I would not have suspected coming from you.
So, like, honestly, like, I grew up without a father. Well, so all my life, basically, before I even get to that part, like, all my life, I grew up with my sister and my friends. Everybody in my neighborhood had their father figure in their life. My sister had her father figure in her life or whatever. I was the only one out of all the group of my friends who did not have their father in their life. So it kind of like tormented me. Like, I remember crying myself to sleep many a times. And I remember my sister's father took me with them. Like, he was taking my sister out somewhere or whatever. And I kind of felt like at that point in time, it was more like on the petty side. Like, I mean, like, just kind of like to like make me feel good, whatever. Yeah, because he felt bad. Moving forward in life, about 22 years old, I moved to Atlanta. I was in the military, moved to Atlanta, and I wound up finding my father. Literally, this man lived one exit away from me, which is about like 7 minutes away in Atlanta. Ironically, I found the man. Long story short, the minute I asked him why he left, he began to tell me, like, I'm the father, you're the son. Like, who are you to question me?
That's fucked up. That's some bullshit. That's some fucking bullshit. And I feel homeboy's pain, and I don't know his circumstances, so I can't really get into the depths of his household and his upbringing. But what I've learned so far is that Ma Dukes was going through a lot of men that she was not good at picking the right men. He said his sister had a separate father, then it was his father. You know what I mean? And right there is an issue. Why I say that is because this is what I mean, how as females, y'all got to do better with picking the right men to have kids with. Now, if you guys gonna be a fucking sleaze bag and start just opening up the coochie and, you know, letting anybody run up in your box, you know, I use some protection. Don't bring a child up in this world. I'm not trying to tell you what to do with what's between your legs, but what I am saying is that once you decide to let that man run up in you raw and then milk all up in you, ski all up in you, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you know damn well there's consequences at that point. You know damn well that there's a possibility you can get pregnant. So why not prevent that instead of bringing all these kids in the world and then you're not even with the father? You catch me? And that's it hurts when you feel abandoned by your parents as a child. Like, real shit, I honestly believe a lot of parents don't even think about that. You know, what the child's going through, how the child's feeling, what's running through their head. They think everything's okay. Because we never sit down and chop it up with them to make sure that they're okay. We're just so selfish and just carry on in our lives. Like, fuck that little kid is what we really saying, but then smile in their face and act like we love them. And I'm not saying me, because I ain't about that life.
his stance on it. And so we wound up at 22, like I was a little high.
And that's real fucked up for you as a man to know that you have this kid and you gonna tell your son like real shit, like he said, nigga, you ain't even come check me. I had to come check you, my dude. And now that I'm here, you gonna tell me that I'm the child, you the man, I don't question you. The fuck is we talking about, man? What type of shit is that? And you can tell right there, that nigga was not fit to be a father.
Head at the time, whatever. So we wound up exchanging words at that point in time. Like I didn't curse him out or anything like that, but I kind of felt like, who are you to say something like this when I'm the one who found you? You didn't come finding me,
Right.
anything like that. About a couple of years after that, like we had stopped talking, and I decided to reach back out to this man.
Oh, fuck that. That would have been my first and last time seeing that nigga.
And we wound up getting into it again. And his words to me was, "You was a mistake. I never wanted you."
Oh, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. A mistake. I never wanted you. You know how fucked up that feels to say to a child, even if it was true. You don't say no fuck shit like that to a child, man. And again, there's a reason for everything. There's a reason why God removed that nigga away from this young man, because he didn't deserve this dude right here. You know what I mean?
And it kind of like messed my whole like world of thinking up.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like the way I grew up, like I grew up without a male figure in the household, because I kind of rejected everybody that was coming into my mother's life.
Right.
Like one of the guys that was involved in my mother's life at the time, whatever, I felt like he abused me. He used to beat me. He was a body, like
Black bodybuilder.
Yeah, bodybuilder.
Yeah, okay.
And he used to he had like the rawhide leather weight belt.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he used to like beat me with that, or like he'll pick me up by my shirt straight up off off the ground, and like he'll like just throw me, and it left like a bad scar. Like so, I really didn't want to deal with any of my mother's male figures or that they came into the household. So
and that's exactly what I was talking about early. Too many fucking men. Too many men, man, where us as adults, we don't even realize the picture we're painting when we're bringing all these people into our children's lives. You know what I mean? And it sucks when you're abandoned by your father, but it's even worse when you feel the abandonment from your own mom. And his mom was abandoning him because he was allowing that motherfucking dude to put his hands on him. I don't give a fuck what. Yo, since my mom, really and truly, I never met the dude that impregnated her. I only seen one man in my whole life regarding my mom, and I'm 40s. I'm in my 40s now. Catch me? Only one man I've seen and met in my mom's life. And if she was doing other shit outside, she was doing outside the house. There was no arguing in our crib. There was no bunch of men in and out of the house. All three of us, all of us have different fathers. I mean, my bad. All three of us have the same father. Dads, we just don't know him. Let me backtrack. My older brother's the only one that know that kid. Me and my younger brother don't know Duke. And as I got older and I started getting in a relationship and I got my kids, real shit, my oldest son, he met two chicks of mine. My other two, they have never seen no other female except for their mom. Even though we're not together no more, and I may do my little dibble and dabbling, I don't bring no females to my crib when my children are there. I refuse to do so. I'm not gonna make my son think that that's cool to be having all types of chicks, and I'm not gonna teach my daughter that it's okay for me to be womanizing and having all these girls up in my house. Not saying that I womanize chicks. That's not what I'm getting at. But I don't want to get the wrong impression on my children, on my kids, of this is the way it's supposed to be in life, and it's not. So when my kids come to my house, it's peace and quiet. The most we're loud is when we playing around, goofing around, or they're yelling around, or they're playing their music. Other than that, there is no arguing in my crib. Even when I was with their mother, they've never seen me argue with their mom. They may catch their mom yelling at me, but they never seen dad disrespect, put his hands, or yelling at their mother ever. Because I never wanted my kids to think that that's the way a relationship is supposed to be. So it sucks when you're abandoned by your father, but it's even worse when you're abandoned by your mother and your father. That is the worst feeling ever. Then we wonder why these kids are running to the street acting reckless, running into gangs, opening their legs and having all these babies, using drugs and alcohol as a gateway. We wonder why. And we want to yell at the kids instead of understanding where they're coming from.
Kind of like really just like step back from everybody that she introduced me to. And it wasn't many, but it was all of them I did not like. And it was a problem for me.
So how did that rejection rejection from your father, and this was, of course, this didn't happen at 22. This happened all throughout your life. The rejection and the abuse from other men shaped your idea of who you were. Like, how did that affect your esteem, your self-worth, your sense of value?
So, like, when it comes to like my self-esteem, my self-worthy, I kind of felt like I wasn't wanted. I used to tell my mother, like, when it happened, I told my mother and I told my grandmother that I kind of felt like a bastard, because essentially that's what a bastard is.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a shameful thing for people who feel that way.
Yeah. But that's how I felt.
Yeah.
We had conversations, and my grandmother used to always try to tell me, "Oh, that's not what it was," or whatever. But her telling me that, and with him telling me, it's two different things. Like,
different from if the source told you, it would be another story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like it kind of weighed on me. I was like, I always had this complex where I'm like, damn, like, how can your parent tell you that they didn't want you?
Real shit. We're gonna stop it right there. Cause that's some real conversation for your ass. You know, like, I feel Duke's pain, because when I was growing up, I felt similar, where I felt like I wasn't wanted. I felt like abandoned. I felt alone, even though I was living with my mom. My mom wasn't giving me the attention I need. She wasn't out there playing basketball with me and teaching me how to throw the football. She wasn't teaching me how to, defend myself out in these streets, and if anything, we were getting yelled at, It's the worst fucking feeling when you're sitting in your room all alone and you feel like your dad, you're a bastard because your dad choose not to be in your life. And yes, you start to wonder, what the fuck did I do wrong? Is it me? Was it me? So then when you run out into the streets and you hang out with your friends, you have all this anger, all this frustration, all this shit running through your head that you start acting recklessly and rebelling. You catch me? And it's not fair to us. It's not fair to no child to be deserted because a parent is being selfish enough. They wasn't selfish enough to nut up in that woman, but they're selfish enough not to raise that child with that woman. That's so fucked up to me, And on the other hand, to have your father, the nigga that's supposed to be your dad, tell you was an accident, the fuck? Like, that would make me want to strangle a motherfucker. Like, real shit. And that kid walks away, and that man probably never even thought about how he hurted that kid's feeling, his own flesh and blood. Catch me? Whether you wanted that child or not, that's still your flesh and blood. I just don't get it. But we're going to start right there. And as always, these are my opinions and my views, so let's not take none of this shit personal. Until the next episode, we tapping out.